It's Digital DA. The mothership has connected. Welcome aboard after NBA skills competition Saturday night. So glad you're with us. This is a brand new project of mine, and we did this after Super Bowl Sunday. And now we're going live after the Saturday night, and this is awesome. So if you want to add any of your conversation, any of your points, your opinions, just hit us up in the comment section on YouTube. They'll scroll right across the bottom of my screen, and Aiden, the Marquette Marvel, our executive producer, Aiden Hatton's going to throw them up on the screen as well if they're good. So keep them good. We'll break this thing down over the next couple of minutes. All right, first off, McClung wins the slam dunk contest for the second time in 2 years, back-to-back. And let's do some winners and losers from tonight's action, okay? We'll start with the winner. The biggest winner of NBA Saturday night has got to be the Osceola Magic. Had you ever heard of the Osceola Magic before tonight? Do you know where Osceola, Florida is? Did you know it was in Florida before? I just said that. McClung wearing an Osceola Magic jersey, the NBA G League team that he plays for, I assume. And I have to imagine, if you want a deep-cut NBA jersey, then the Osceola Magic jersey is your jersey. I thought McClung was good. I didn't think he was equal to last year. Perhaps part of last year's magic was that we had no idea who this guy was, and that we finally had a slam dunk contestant who was actually in the G League, not the NBA, so that was kind of cool. So I thought last year was electric. Last year was unpredictable. Last year was unforeseen. This year, it was fine. It was fine. I felt like that final dunk where he jumps over Shaq. Good, but I thought almost all of the dunks tonight were somewhat predictable, except for McClung's first dunk, which I thought was actually the best dunk, when he pops it up to himself from a guy standing there. And as Reggie and Kenny Smith were saying, that had never been done before, and he got like 46s, 47s, and I think they were right. I think these old guys who were part of the judges didn't see what actually happened, that he had popped it up to himself, passed it to himself while jumping over somebody. So I thought McClung was good. I had no problem with him winning, but I didn't think it was dynamic as last year. But let's face it, Osceola Magic, stand up. Jersey on a big spot, on a big stage. So that was pretty cool. Let me also say this. Jaylen Brown, look, I appreciate you doing throwback stuff and referencing the old guys. You know me, I am wired to honor the old guys. But, just having a guy come out in a Dominique Wilkins jersey is not really honoring Dominique. That's just a guy in the jersey. I know that he did the windmill slam, but Jaylen, maybe you can wear the Dominique jersey. I think that would actually be slightly better. Just having a guy. Who is that guy? Secondly, okay, he's using Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum's in an oversized coat. You can't do the dunk and then when you've already landed, cover your eyes like D. Brown. You got to do that while you're in the air. You can't. That's not how that works. Senator, I watch D. Brown. I love D. Brown. I consider D. Brown a friend of mine. Senator, you're no D. Brown. I appreciate that Jaylen Brown was in this. Star power. Clearly the NBA wanted to make sure he pushed his way through. They want more stars in this. It's better when they're in there. But that's not D. Brown's dunk. Come on. All right. That's Osceola Magic, your first winner. Your second winner, Steph versus Sabrina. Thought it was great. Sabrina Ionescu challenging Steph Curry. Steph taking the challenge. Both of them performing well. That felt like the best part of tonight's action. And I definitely hope that this is a staple of Saturday nights for years to come. I think that felt like this is something to watch. And maybe they buried it before the slam dunk contest, not knowing how it would go. But when you have somebody like Steph and you have him challenged and you have him having to respond to the challenge, that's really good theater. So I think the NBA found something there. And I totally disagree with Kenny Smith by saying Sabrina needed to shoot from the WNBA arc. The fact that she shot from the NBA arc was badass. And she was fantastic. That whole thing worked. That whole thing is something the NBA might have stumbled upon. And I think the one critique I would have is both Steph and Sabrina. It's great that we're doing this for charity. We need to explain the charity a little bit more. I felt like that part was kind of glossed over. Like, let's get a little vignette in there, a little picture of what the kids that you're serving or what the purpose. And I know they both do wonderful things, but that's why this thing also feels good, is because there's a charitable component. And I feel like we could do a little bit better job of, I'm like, so what does the charity do there? Okay. But that definitely worked. And I thought Steph versus Sabrina was something that both leagues benefit from. And I think the league will now have going forward as a staple for this whole event. Okay, third winner, the LED floor. I know that this was perhaps distracting for some, but if you noticed, the NBA floor tonight was lit up with all these different colors and graphics, and I thought for tonight, an event like tonight, it definitely worked. It gives it a certain exhibition feel, no doubt. And yeah, it's a little noisy and splashy, but it definitely is unique. And I think that this is the future. I thought it worked tonight. I don't know if I need to see it during a game. I thought it worked tonight, though. This was the first year they've done this, and they had to have the technology to where basically your Jumbotron is strong enough to where professional athletes can jump on top of it and it won't break. I thought it worked. And I will tell you, this is where the NBA wants to go, so that they have Starry ads and Kia ads running underneath game action. It's going to be distracting. It's going to be annoying, but you wait. It's going to be there. But you can do cool things under the floor, lit up, where guys are taking shots from, percentages of when they take shots, where they take shots, odds, stats, scores. I think there's a lot you can do there. And tonight was the first step to, I think, the NBA looking more and more like a 2K game. I think that's what they want, video games 2K. And that's going to be basically where we're going here in the future. The LED floor, one of my winners. Surprisingly, I know, because most of you guys thought I probably would hate this. One of the winners of tonight's action. Another winner, how about Beasley's SpongeBob sneakers in the three-point contest? Malik Beasley's, these were cool. I like these. You know, I don't know if maybe I'm just in like a Nickelodeon world after the Super Bowl Nickelodeon broadcast, which I didn't watch, but I saw some behind-the-scenes stuff of, and I generally like when they do that. I think it's cool for kids. But the SpongeBob sneakers were the cool sneakers I saw tonight. You know, forget trying to be cool, trying to be flashy, give me cartoons on my sneakers. Big win tonight, I thought, for NBA Saturday night. Okay. Let me give you some losers of tonight and then also the first half of the season. Loser tonight, the momentum. This thing that they begin the night with tonight, which was the team thing where they're running and they're passing and they're ducking through cones, and they're not even cones. It's like a big obstacle course. It's fine if you want to begin the night that way to kind of get everybody's appetites wet. Fine. It's too long. That was a full hour of tonight's action. I know you're creating filler for a 3-hour telecast because you just want to keep the ratings going, to keep the viewers there, and to sell more commercials. But my God, how long did that go? Whew. I'm like, this is a 20-minute event. 40 minutes, 50 minutes, nearly an hour of doing this. What are we even doing? Guys don't know the rules. Moving along. The momentum got shot there. And then I thought the Steph and Sabrina thing was great, and then it took too long to get into the momentum of the dunk contest. And the dunk contest itself can be cool, but it just feels like there's only one thing that guys are doing now, and is using another person to either launch off of, hold something, or jump over. You know, Jaylen Brown's windmill dunk a la Neek was pretty damn cool. And McClung, do you need to jump over everything? You're dynamic enough as a dunker. I think there's a way for these guys to still do cool stuff without using bodies. It's like everything is so, it's so about having a body in front of you. All right, let's do some losers of the first half of the NBA season as well, okay, everybody? Number one, the Steph and LeBron thing from a week ago at the trade deadline. Okay, maybe not surprising that LeBron would dismiss the notion of getting traded midseason. Why? Because LeBron's kind of a control freak, and you thrust him into a different situation midway through the year. He's not going to be comfortable. Maybe he doesn't perform his best. Doesn't surprise me that happened. But neither one of those guys is going anywhere in the playoffs. I don't believe this recent run that the Warriors are on is going to forecast well into the postseason. I think this is just a little blip on the radar. Whatever they are, they're a work in progress, and I just don't think that they're good enough to put it together for multi-months in the postseason. Steph's fantastic. I don't trust everything else that's going on with the Warriors. And LeBron and the Lakers just feel like a dead corpse. And I know that LeBron of the playoffs is a different cat, and I know that the Lakers are kind of built for the playoffs. I don't think they have enough ammunition, have enough gas once they get into the postseason to do anything when they're there. And I think what you're seeing in the Western Conference is truly a change, a handoff of the baton from the old guys to the new guys. Now, the Nuggets are kind of the now guys, so I definitely still fear Denver, even though they're in the 4 seed right now in the West, because they have the best player in the league, because they have depth, because they have star power, because they have experience, and the teams at the top of the Western Conference are so inexperienced. At the same time, the Lakers feel so yesterday, and so do the Warriors. And you hate to say it about Steph and LeBron. Had they joined forces, at least it would have been a new type of chemistry, some type of new calculation. Maybe that works, maybe it doesn't. But I think the way that they are situated right now, it's not going to work for either one of them. So I'm going to give them 2 losers of the first half of the season. And I would add this about the LeBron dismissing that trade. It feels to me like LeBron is not going to be willing, even at this point in his career with very few chances at a ring left, to walk into somebody else's city, somebody else's locker room. And that's clearly what's going on in Golden State with Steph, and should. You know, Steph owns that team, owns that city, owns that franchise. He's always going to be the alpha. And LeBron would have to fit in there. I think LeBron might be more comfortable if Steph came to him. But LeBron, at this point in his career, I do not think has any interest in walking into somebody else's city. None. So it's interesting that the Warriors reached out, but you can kind of see the no coming. Another loser first half of the year. And I know we're saying first half, even though more than 41 games of the season has now been done, but the Milwaukee Bucks, losers at this point in time. I mean, you hire Adrian Griffin as an inexperienced first-time head coach with a team that has championship aspirations, and that's going to be it for Giannis. And Giannis knows that he's applied pressure onto the franchise. We've got to win. That's why I want to stay. If we don't win, I might not stay. So you trade for Damian Lillard. That's great. If you have Adrian Griffin and you trust that despite his inexperience, he can win with this group, then you can't break that off midway through the year. For them to then go to Doc Rivers, who's had a parade of collapses in the postseason, and everybody keeps mentioning that he has a championship ring, and that gives him credibility inside that locker room, and the guys will listen to him. Maybe. At the same time, the 2008 Boston Celtics are a long effing time ago. I mean, to give you some sense of how long that's been, the Steelers won the Super Bowl in 2008 over Kurt Warner, Larry Fitzgerald, and the Arizona Cardinals. That's Big Ben to Santonio Holmes beating Kurt Warner and Larry Fitzgerald. What do they all have in common? They're all retired. That's how long ago Doc Rivers won his Super Bowl / NBA Finals. He's got one, but ever since it's been 3-1 collapses, 3-1 chokes. So I know that, the Bucks have one of the best players in the league, and I know that most of these guys won a championship a couple of years ago. But making that change to Doc is incredibly dicey. And on top of that, look at how this has started. Does not look good. Does not look like they're listening. Does not look like anything changed. So right now, I worry about the Bucks, and I don't think they look the part at all to make a deep run of the postseason. Other losers in the first half of the season, as we look at the standings right now, I just think that the older teams that kind of are trying to do the same thing they've done, like the Lakers, like the Warriors, like the Bucks, feel stuck. Maybe I'll feel differently once we get to the postseason of Milwaukee. But that gives me the winners, fresh blood. I think this is something the NBA has desperately sought for a long time. A type of overall parity is the wrong word because parity makes it sound like everybody's bad, everybody's average. But a door being swung open wider for teams that haven't been there, for fan bases that haven't been used to being one of the best teams of the NBA, because for 50, 60 years, we've had the NBA kind of controlled by the same 2 or 3 teams at the top of each conference. And you kind of knew it going into the season, who would be there, who wouldn't. The idea that right now the Western Conference is led by the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Oklahoma City Thunder is fantastic. It's fantastic. The NBA has desperately needed this for a long time. They need teams and fans in cities that aren't New York, LA, Chicago, Bay Area, Miami, etc., to be right there amongst the power brokers. The Spurs broke into that and then stayed there for a long time. But it's really hard for a lot of these franchises that aren't located on the coasts to be some of the best teams of the NBA. And when you see OKC and you see Minnesota at the top, or you see Cleveland having built one of the best teams of the Eastern Conference, it tells you that you don't need just one supernatural draft pick. You don't need just one monster free agent. You don't need one of the 3 best players of the NBA to create a great team. And that is, I'm serious, what the NBA has been lacking for a long time. Because whether it was Michael or Duncan or Shaq and Kobe or the Heatles or recently Steph and LeBron, Kawhi, you have needed, it's been necessary to have one of the 3 best players of the NBA or so. Anthony Edwards is fantastic. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is sensational. But those 2 guys aren't uniformly considered one of the best players of the NBA. The fact that those teams can be in the mix, absolutely awesome for the NBA. And I think for us as fans, because going into the playoffs, it just gives you an X factor, a wild card that you're not sure. Could they flame out in the first round? Yeah. But if they're some of the best teams of the NBA and they start winning series, definitely draws you in. And I don't think the NBA has to have your LeBrons or Stephs in the finals. I think they can succeed. The numbers might not be, as monster as perhaps the original Steph and LeBron finals were, et cetera. But I thought last year you felt this when you had the Nuggets and it was like, wow, this is a new team, new players, new names. It can draw you in, and I think it's good. It's really good for the league. So I appreciate you guys watching this kind of abridged version of a Saturday night breakdown. But what we want to do here is build a community here on this YouTube channel. Now, I know that having moved from terrestrial radio at CBS Sports Radio over to Sirius XM, a lot of people haven't been to the new show at Sirius XM. But I wanted to create a place where everybody could just come and have access to it for totally free, not behind a paywall, and come see and come watch and come comment. And I've done videos regularly over the last 2 months or so. And the comment section's been awesome. Oftentimes you hear that the YouTube comments are gross and they're angry, they're nasty. It hasn't been that way at all. It's been really smart, interesting people that have been fun and intelligent. And I'm like, oh, this is great. So if you watch any of those videos, feel free to comment. You watch one of these live streams, feel free to comment. People around here have been really cool. We want to keep it that way. And thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. It's cool to see everybody, Ryan in Sacktown and Bill and Matt and Jay and all you cats that have been here as well, man. I appreciate you. And subscribe to this channel. Pass it along to your friends as well, because what we're going to be planning to do is create a live show that we put on weekly here on the YouTube channel. We'll give you the details as it comes up. But what we're going to do is kind of take the week of news, distill it down to some of my favorite, most important topics, dig into it, have some interviews, have some familiar faces that you guys all know, so we can joke around and have some of the benchmarks that we all know and love. So keep it locked here to the YouTube channel, and we'll keep doing stuff like this. And if you have any suggestions, leave it in the comments. I read through them all, as I say on every video that I do. First 20 comments, I promise I'll respond. Beyond that, I read them all. I just might not have time to respond, but definitely leave them. I'm reading it. What you guys want to see, what you guys want to hear, I'm here for. Tonight was one of those things. We're going to get the ball rolling, and we're going to do this thing, and I can't wait to do it. So Watch DA is your place to be. Tonight was a fun night on NBA Saturday night. We should keep doing this. Let's keep having rendezvous, reservations together, okay? Thanks to Aiden Hatton, the Marquette Marvel, your executive producer of Watch DA. Thanks, everybody, for subscribing and watching. We'll see you on the flip side. For the moment, for the night, the mothership disconnects.